The left's meltdown over the 2024 election results has been epic, and it's going on far longer than anyone had predicted. And the reason why, in my belief, is that Trump broke the left. Their psyche is so damaged beyond repair that there's no way that they can figure out how to handle what the outcome is. Because he didn't just win the Electoral College vote. He didn't just win the popular vote, the House, Senate, or just maintain the Supreme Court. No, Trump won the culture. Something that 8 years ago, no one would have ever thought that Republicans could have beaten the Democrats in the culture war. And yet here we are. We got people in the NFL doing the little Trump dance anytime they do a big play. You got people all over the internet doing the Trump dance. Trump's voice being mixed to so many songs, meaning that he has more hit singles than any other celebrity in America today. So when you think about it, Trump completely dominated the culture war, and the left doesn't know how to process that. They might have been able to process just losing the Electoral College and the House and the Senate, so long as they had the culture and the popular vote. But they have nothing, and they don't know how to handle it. And they've been going through the stages of grief. There was the denial, the conspiracy theories, there was anger, which they're still doing, and now some of them are starting to get into acceptance and trying to figure out how this happened, trying to reach out to the other side to try and figure out, okay, you all believe in Trump so much, try to explain why. And as they do, they are starting to learn that some of the things that they believe, or a lot of the things that they believe, is just fake, that they have been completely lied to about President Trump. It is so bad that the media, whose ratings have been collapsing, have decided they need to finally clean up a little bit. They'll never clean up completely, but you got people like the Morning Joe on MSNBC going off and saying they're reopening. There's no longer a ban of Trump and his speeches, and they're going to reopen dialogue. Remember, these people used to love Trump until he ran as a Republican. Then he was the worst person imaginable in the history of the United States. So you got the media in a free fall that are now waving the surrender flag, no longer going to do, at least right now, they're saying they're no longer going to do all the over-the-top stuff, of saying he's Hitler, Nazi Germany. We'll see how long that lasts, if they can actually handle themselves. So we got some video here of more leftists on TikTok, as well as, some conservatives just having a good time mocking them and also telling their story of how they became conservatives or how the left is a bunch of hypocrites. So we'll go ahead, dive into that, and provide some commentary. Here we go.
If you voted for Donald Trump, I would honestly love to hear your perspective on something. And I promise I'm not trying to set up a trap to go after people. If you're willing to provide your perspective, I will be incredibly respectful as anyone is willing to be to have this conversation. And I don't want people fighting in the comments, but obviously from our perspective, we feel like we have heard a lot of authoritarian rhetoric from Donald Trump, and that is scary. And I understand that for a lot of people, especially on the right, they don't think that those are credible threats.
Now, the question that I would like to ask this person here is, have you actually heard threats? Like actual threats of authoritarianism from President Trump? Or have you just been told there has been threats and authoritarian rhetoric from President Trump? So this is one of the difference here for conservatives versus leftists. Leftists rely on the media to tell them what they think they heard. Conservatives will hear something, and then we'll go to the source video and watch it all. We'll watch more than the 5 to 9 second clip, but we'll watch the entire thing, or we'll watch at least a few minutes surrounding that clip in order to get the full context to see what was actually said. So when you say that you have heard authoritarian rhetoric, have you really? Or is it just the media playing a very tiny snippet that is deceptively edited and told you what to think?
And that's what I want to understand. I'm not looking for people to flood my comments with the left has been fear-mongering. I understand people feel that way. What I'm trying to understand is why? Why do people think that this is not a credible threat? I want to understand what it is that goes through your head when you hear him talk about things like lining someone up in front of a firing squad, or the enemy within that needs to be eradicated, or removing checks and balances against his power. Are you thinking, well, he just says crazy shit to get people out to vote, he's not actually going to do it? Or I think he'll be good for the economy, so I'm willing to take the risk?
Now, the statements he's referencing didn't actually happen. Right? So when he's talking about lining people up in front of a firing squad and he thinks, oh, that is so dangerous, Trump has never made such a comment. The closest thing that he said was talking about war hawks like Kamala Harris and saying, hey, give them a gun and put them out there in front of 9 other guns, right? Which is basically a way of saying a statement that the left used to make decades ago, especially during the Vietnam era, which is war hawks. It's easy for them to advocate for war when they're not the ones fighting it. But if they had to be on the front line, which is why you would give them a gun, because you wouldn't give people a gun that you are lining up in front of a firing squad. But if you put them on the front line with a gun facing the enemy, they would have to then fight for the country or fight for their avocation of war. And once they're on the front line, they're not so hawkish anymore. Once they have skin in the game, they're only so pro-war so long as they're not the ones that actually have to fight it. So it's a very old statement to say, hey, put them on the front lines and let them fight the war. Now, as far as the enemy within, okay, yes, this is not anything new. This is not a new statement. This is not anything unique to Trump. There are enemies within. People that abuse their power, people that are selling out this country for a very long time to enrich themselves, people that have been going through trying to undermine this policy and that policy. The enemy within doesn't necessarily mean that they are a traitor to the country, but that they are doing everything they can to undermine policies of a particular administration within their position of government, which is not right for them to do, because they are basically going off and saying, I'm going to undermine my boss. In any other situation, those people would be fired. And a lot of those people, though, have also abused their position to try and use the power of government to target their political opponents, such as parents at school board meetings, and so forth. Now, there are other enemies from within. The terrorists have been able to get across the southern border. They are within our country, and they're doing what they can to try and plan out attack. We need to weed those people out too. So this whole enemy within, it's not like they're saying traitors that need to be lined up and shot. They're just saying that these people are actively working against a particular administration, and they're abusing their power to target political opponents. The enemy within is no different than saying we are here to fight corruption. Same thing, different word.
Or even if we move towards Christian nationalism in some regard, that's not that concerning to me, because I think Christianity is something we should be striving for. It's something I haven't even thought of. Honestly, I would love to hear your perspective. I would love to hear what you have to say.
Oh no, I'm devastated. Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who are retarded. And the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual incest. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with.
Oh, let's go. Come on. Let's go, celebrities. We didn't forget. You said that if he won, you were leaving. Let's go. Keep it moving. Terminal F, gate you.
Okay, I like this. You remember how during every election they say, oh, if Trump wins or if a Republican wins, we're going to leave the country. We're going to leave. They're threatening like leaving means something bad for the rest of the country. Like we're going to be so sad to see the celebrity class go. And yet, election after election, anytime they lose, they renege on their promise. And of course, we always come out and wonder, hey, you promised to leave. Hey, that was actually an incentive for us to vote for this person. Why aren't you leaving like you said you would? So I like this, and it was especially creative with the plane about the terminal and the gate. Great job. Love it.
If your uterus has more confirmed kills than my AR, I'm clearly not the problem.
Now, this leads to one very interesting question to me. How many abortions does it take to constitute a mass murder?
I'm from a super blue state, Washington State, and I came out as a conservative in 2020, and I was treated so poorly, and I know other blue state conservatives can relate to this, so I want to talk about it. But my childhood friends treated me subhuman. I didn't get the poke, and I had friends who I'd been friends with since elementary school message me and tell me I shouldn't be allowed in the grocery store. They told me I was fascist and crazy and told me I shouldn't be allowed anywhere in public.
And you see, this is another reason why the left lost the 2024 election. They are the actual tyrants. They do this whole, you either do exactly what we say on bended knee, or we're going to try and make your life hell. We're going to ostracize you. We're going to kick you out of this group, that group. We're going to unfriend you. You cannot be friends with us unless you agree 100% with everything we say and tell you to do. And the more the left acts like that, the more they show how intolerant they are. And as people see that, and as people are victimized by the left, it turns more and more people away. It's like you could have agreed with them on everything up to that point, and then the moment you disagree with them, all of a sudden they viciously attack you. And it's at that moment that people wake up, realize how hateful and intolerant the left is, and then move to the right. In fact, a lot of times it's not that people move to the right, is that the left shifted the center so far over that the person never moved, the goalpost did, and forced them onto the right. That's how they lose.
Because I didn't get that. They told me I shouldn't be allowed to teach anymore or be a social worker anymore. Like people I'd been friends with for over 20 years messaged me.
Are supporting a rapist, a sex trafficker. You're supporting an entire cabinet of sex offenders.
This is another one of the left's favorite attack lines. You notice how whenever they're losing politically, whether it's an argument or an election, they have to try and resort to fear-mongering and name-calling. They start off by going on about you're racist, sexist, homophobe, bigot. Then they go on and escalate to tyrant. And now they want to go off and say, you're supporting sexual predators. And they want to say that so that they can be on the moral high ground and say, you're the disgusting one, not them and their actions. And yet, we have seen the left cry wolf on this so many times that the default position is, we don't believe it. And no one has ever actually been convicted of sexual assault that they are going on about. We all witnessed it during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, during his Supreme Court nomination, how they come out and they made these false allegations, couldn't provide any credible evidence, couldn't even tell you what year the supposed assault took place or anything about it. And yet they felt morally justified, even though they admit later that, no, it didn't actually happen, but they feel morally justified in making false allegations in order to tank the nominations or elections of people they don't like, because to them, it doesn't matter. The ends justify the means. And if you want to make false allegations and succeed in tanking their nomination or election as a result, then it was morally justified. That's how the left operates. And so this person is unhinged and disgusting because she wants to promote false allegations, which actually hurts real victims of sexual assault, because people believe those even less because of all the times people like this one make the false allegations and cry wolf because it's politically advantageous to them.
And people who are wanting to completely dismantle our country. Do your research. Stop trolling. Do your research and get on the right side of herstory. God, you're ridiculous.
Demanding Biden pack the Supreme Court. Why the f*** are we not demanding that he arrest a convicted felon? Like, you could executive order do both of those things, and he's not. Why are we not demanding this?
Oh, how many ways can I say this guy is dumb? Okay, first of all, you realize that the election is already over, and all of these attempts at targeting Trump and abuse of power to target him has only made Trump vastly more popular. And if Biden packs the Supreme Court between now and Inauguration Day, you do understand that Trump would have the same powers, right? And that no matter how many justices Biden puts on the Supreme Court to pack it, Trump could appoint 3 times more and overwhelm all of those justices. And therefore, we would have complete control of the Supreme Court anyways. So your idea here is pretty useless. Now, as far as going off and trying to arrest Trump and throw him in jail, first off, that's the state of New York. The federal government doesn't actually have that authority on that conviction. And by the way, all those people that were involved in those convictions, from the prosecutor to the judge, are probably crapping their pants because they abused their position to baselessly target their political opponent and get a conviction based off of nothing. Basically, they convicted him of Orange Man Bad. And you're thinking that between now and Inauguration Day, they should throw him in jail, which would just make him even more popular, by the way. But you think that is going to end well for the corrupt prosecutors and corrupt judges that abuse their positions to convict them in the first place? They're already trying to figure out how they're going to stay out of jail for all of their abuse of power.
We should be demanding this. I don't know. Does that seem crazy? Am I crazy for saying that? Is that the quiet part that I'm just saying out loud?
We're going feral. Well, the liberals have Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, we do. I'm not going to sleep until I have made every MAGA in the 3-mile radius cry. We're going to do personal harm upon their psyches. Demure and mindful are out. Resisting while kicking and screaming are in. This channel is now dedicated to making sure they don't get away with a damn thing these next 4 years. They want to around, we're going to make them find out.
Yeah, Trump broke their psyche. This FAFO that they're trying to push off, which was originally developed by Gen X. They're thinking they're going to act all tough. Yeah, something tells me they're not really going to do a whole lot except for get themselves into trouble. I mean, a few of them may try in the beginning, but after the laws are actually being enforced, they're not going to do a whole lot. It's them that are effing around and are about to find out. But you see, they are now going from grief and crying to now just anger and violence.
All you MAGA mothers that are already out acting a fool in public, thinking you can get away with whatever the you want, I want you to know that it ain't gonna happen. We are pissed. We have zero to give anymore. And bail money. I have bail money. I see you out in public acting a fool. If you want to throw hands, bring that shit the fuck on, because I would love to right now.
When's the Civil War start? Anybody know? And what are we wearing? Because a bitch is not about to become a handmaid. No. I mean, they got to invade the Capitol. Why can't we? They got to get off with it and now are getting pardoned. But we get to suffer. No. So, what are we doing? What are we wearing? And when are we corroborating?
Okay, 2 things to note here. 1, you're concerned about fashion. You're advocating for civil war, but you want to make sure it's fashionable. You know, that you want to know what everyone's wearing. Maybe you want to make sure that it doesn't clash with your lipstick or something. You do understand that in guerrilla warfare, you don't want to make yourself easily spotted, right? That if everyone's wearing the same uniform in a civil war situation, it makes you easy to identify and harder for you to actually carry anything out. Secondly, civil wars require guns. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're on the side that says we don't believe in guns, have been trying to get rid of them, and have unilaterally disarmed. So I'm kind of confused how you plan on fighting a civil war.
This is a message to all the conservative boy moms. Let me tell you something. You better handle your sons, because the first one of them little shits that walks up to my daughter and says, your body, my choice, is going to be picking themselves up off the ground. You see, I didn't raise little demure, little mindful angels. No. I raised little feminist hellraisers, little forces of nature who take no prisoners in the fight for justice and equality, and every single one of them has had martial arts.
Like a woman who voted for Trump did so because they have no way of taking care of themselves and they have to rely on a man. So when they see women who are financially independent, I think there's like a little bit of jealousy there, and they want us to feel the same imprisonment that they feel.
Okay, so two things to address that whole your body, my choice. Okay, I had to try and figure out where the heck this even came from. And it turns out it comes from this Twitter account of Nick Puntis, whatever, a Twitter troll who's going out there. And yeah, he says a lot of very disgusting things. But the guy is not associated with Trump. In fact, the guy spends a lot of time bashing a lot of the stuff that Trump does. So you're basically accusing MAGA of being sexist with the your body, my choice by trying to associate an anti-Trumper with Trump. Make that make sense. And then, of course, we got the lady on screen whose whole idea is, okay, any woman who disagrees with how I voted and voted in a way I don't like is because they're weak. They can't in any way think for themselves. And that's how I'm going to make myself feel better. Except for, I think it's actually the reverse in this particular situation, because you can't ever articulate why you feel the way you feel or your opinion. No, you only regurgitate whatever the media tells you to regurgitate and then say, you're a strong, independent woman.
Is elected Trump into office. I voted for him 4 years ago because I was dumb. And guess what? So are Trump voters. Go look at the statistics. They're not educated. Stop supporting things that hurt other people. Would your items have been more expensive right now with a Democrat in office? Sure. You really care that much more, though, than like other people who have way less privileges than you?
So here we have a rare example of someone who used to be intelligent and then got dumber as time went on. Now look, they tried to do this whole, the educated voted this way, because they keep confusing educated with indoctrinated. And you notice how the left's educated people, the experts, tend to be wrong about most everything. And whenever the highly educated experts are in charge, things go to crap, things get much worse. And then she goes off and does the whole, agrees and admits, yes, prices go up. Things are more expensive. And then tries to say, but cheaper stuff is more important than other people who have way less privileges. How do they have less privileges? They can't ever explain that. They just make the blatant argument, and they can't provide any factual evidence whatsoever to back up their claim. Heck, they can't even explain what it is they're even claiming. They just regurgitate whatever they're told to.
You didn't vote for Donald Trump because he's going to lower prices. You voted for Donald Trump because he hates the people you hate, and you love to hate. Because if you're not hating, you don't feel like you're alive.
Now that was an example of someone looking in the mirror and then replacing their name with the word Republican. Because if you actually look around, the left, all they have is hate. All they have is, let's all come together to hate this person. So again, the left always accuses the right of that which the left does.
I'm proud to be a straight white man where at least I know I'm free. And I don't care who has to die to keep that right for me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and take your rights away. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I'm a straight white man. God bless the USA.
God, was that pathetic. Now here is somebody who is going through a lot of copium right now, trying to find a way to justify how her fake worldview, her echo chamber, had failed her yet again. And she wants to try and act like she is somehow victim. But let's face it, she has more privileges than many other people, including straight white men. Because as we all know, with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, women are actually given preferential treatment over men of the same race, of the same skin color. So here she is, what, whining that she's not going to be given even more special privileges? Is not going to be raised above even more people? I mean, she's just pathetic here. It is really sad.
Don't let politics come between friendships. I do. You sold me the out for concepts of lower gas prices. You.
I'm not dating men. Since y'all decided to take away our rights, I decided that you can't be trusted. Nice try, though. That was cute.
And that is the left, ladies and gentlemen. Broken. They've been in a bubble, an echo chamber for so long, they cannot handle reality. They cannot handle in any way, shape, or form the idea that anybody could ever dare disagree with anything that they say. And now that reality has once again smacked them upside the head, and this time smacked them upside the head hard. They can't handle it. They're going through various stages of grief as they try to figure out how to reconcile their delusions with reality. That's it for this episode. Please leave some comments. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I will be back again soon.